Hi, class. Welcome back. And we're on to our last week of the semester before our final. So um, we're going to take things down a little bit. And there's going to be no Dropbox this week because we do have our sociological biography assignment due on May 8th. And so we're going to continue on into chapter 14. So we're going to look at urbanization and social movements. And so I do have to move on and skip some sections we normally cover in the class. And so we're going to overlook the part on population, but we're going to still stay in the same chapter. And I do encourage you to read that section. So again, there's no Dropbox associated with this chapter, but I do want you to get that final paperwork on your sociological biography. So you're going to respond to your chapter 13 discussion threads, and you're doing a good job so far with that. I'm really happy with the discussions that are taking place with those of you who are still participating. And there's a couple of videos on social movements, and this is the logical place to go with this class. We have these issues, now where do we go with that? And the social movement's the way we usually go to dealing with things. So you're going to watch a couple of videos on social movements. And then you're going to post a initial post on these discussions, and there'll be a quiz on quiz 14.2, which goes over the section of chapter 14 that looks at urbanization and social movements. And again, your sociological biography paper is going to be worked on this week as well. So going through, I'm not sure what I did there. Going through module 15. I'm not really sure why it's doing this to me. I will 15. That's why. We'll have these two videos. One's Toby Chow, and the other one is looking at changing the world through a social movement. And again, people have a hard time understanding what people are doing with social movements, but this is the way most people participate in changing government. And you can see for any cause, there's usually a movement behind it. So, whether it be for, for the Women's March, or for right now, we have people trying to do marches to open up government in their states, get business going. Regardless of what side of the political spectrum you're on, there are people who do social movements and they participate in that process. And sociologists look at that. So you're going to watch these two videos, and you're going to relate them back to yourself. So first, you're going to discuss why a social movement exists. And then I want you to think of a social movement that you would support. And then discuss why and your level of commitment to this movement. And people have various levels of commitment to a social movement. There's some people who are comfortable writing letters and speaking about it, but they're not so comfortable going to a protest, or they're not so comfortable risking security for themselves. And so being involved in a social movement can sometimes lead towards possibly getting arrested, or possibly facing physical violence. And so if you look at like the Black Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s, those people who were protesting, a lot of them knew that as they would protest, there was a very high chance that they would be attacked and beaten and have dogs sicked on them and water cannons sprayed at them, and they might have a violence follow them home. But they felt strongly enough that our system was prejudiced, and they wanted to organize against it. And so they did, and they had some successes, and so we get to discuss social movements on that level too. And then again, you're working on your sociological biography, and this is going to be just a 5-page paper, and it should be very easy to write by now because you should have your 3 sections that you've done, and you stitch them together. Make sure you refer back to the textbook, And I would like to see around 25 citations, where, you refer to sociological concepts that we've covered. I'm not going to be so strict on that as long as you stay within the parameters of looking at sociology and relating it to yourself. This should be a fun paper to write under normal circumstances. I know working out of the home right now isn't so fun, and a lot of people are very irritated by our present situation. But you get to write this paper reflecting on yourself, and again, you should have a good time doing that. And if you have any questions, go ahead and get a hold of me about this. But this will be a fairly easy week for you. And if you have any questions, go ahead and get in touch with me. Thank you.